Hello ladies and gentlemen, Sivalogrim here, and in the previous weeks I have focused on solo raids and provided some guides for some specific sub-bosses in solo raids. I've provided a tier list for teams in solo raids, and I think it's about time we put two and two together and try to do a beginner guide of solo raids, because while the more advanced players are going to be pretty much fine in solo raids because they are going to have the required teams and they're going to have the gameplay on their side, the newer players might find the concept overwhelming and hard to get into. And if you have just created your account, it might be indeed very hard to get into, but in no time, with my help, hopefully you'll be able to perform very well in solo raids and get those rewards. So in this team we will explain the solo raids as a concept, then we will go over some teams that beginners might have access to, and the teams that they will probably use in solo raids, and then we will go about some strategies when fighting in solo raids, and then a special part at the end of the video will be about the unusual gameplay bug, because it will be separate from the rest of the video because I want this video to be relatable at all points. So I'll separately talk about the unregistered damage bug until it gets fixed. That part will be relevant. After that, only the rest of the video will be relevant. So with all that being said, please like, comment and subscribe in order to support the channel and in order to make YouTube promote this video to more people. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, and let's get into it. Okay, so let's get into the whole concept of solo raids. By the way, this account that I'm recording this on is going to be a 4 months old account. Then it's going to be a 100% free-to-play account. As you can see over here, only 4 million threats so far. Not to say that is not a good progress, but I have managed to get all the way to the last year of normal in solo raids with this account, and I have very many times encountered the unusual gameplay bug. I think it's 12 times already. So if it wasn't for that bug, I guarantee you the normal mode of solo raids would have been already done. So it definitely can be done by lower threat accounts, and my account is even too high threat to be the minimum requirements to do this, because all you need is going to be 3 characters, but we will get into that later. So solo raids, I'm not sure about the level you unlock. This is 25 or 30 or something like that. You will be greeted to the screen and you'll have to start all the way from the bottom. You can see over here that after completing it you'll get some rewards, an artifact, gems, credits, and those are very huge rewards for a new player. And all the way up you can get all the way, even in the first year in the normal difficulty, you can get all the way to 6-star characters and one of the new artifacts. Now, backing track a little bit, you are going to start with boss Harlequin. And after you come, she's going to have 4 sub-bosses, as we have over here with Darkseid. You will have 4 sub-bosses that you will need to defeat before you get into them. In terms of the first and the second tier, there will be no very difficult sub-bosses, at least from my point of view, but just to be sure, you will get into the sub-boss and you will read all those things, because those things over here, the deadly overkill and stuff like that, are going to be special properties that the bosses will have. So you might want to consider that when fighting them if you're having trouble, and try to think of a strategy in order to act accordingly. And you should have no problem with bosses in the first tier and the second tier. Well, yeah, you might have the problem that you don't really have the damage to take them down fast, but we'll get into the teams later, as I said. But in terms of their mechanics, there's really no boss in here that has frustrating or unfair mechanics. When we get to tier 3, there's a whole nother story, because over here we will have 2 characters with shields, with super shields, and that can be very annoying because they trigger at all times. I have a guide for that I will link down below. So over there you might have a little bit of a problem, and also with boss Green Lantern I also have a guide on that. And in terms of the fourth one, you will have boss Joker, which will be very hard to take down. And over here you will have a little bit of a problem maybe when fighting boss Manta and boss Lord Joker over here. Other than that, it should be a pretty smooth ride, and the only problem for you, if you are able to deal to have the proper gameplay, the only problem for you will most likely be not being able to inflict that much damage. And for that, we are going to get into teams. There are going to be a lot of good teams for solo raids. There are going to be teams that require legendary characters, there are going to be teams that you will most likely not get in the first year of playing, but we are going to focus on one team that everybody can get. So how do we piece this together? First of all, you'll need King of Lands Aquaman. In order to get King of Lands Aquaman, you can get him from League Store with League medals. This guy is a must-have. Like, there's no real way around it. I can't be like, well, yeah, you could build Silver Superman, everybody has him. No, you must have King of Lands Aquaman, you will eventually unlock him, and you can start using him from 3 stars, because he's that good. It's going to be so good because his special tree is going to deal damage equal to 10% of the opponent's current health. And as some of you might have seen in Soul Raids, most of the bosses are going to have huge amounts of health. And 10% in some cases can mean a huge amount of damage. In Soul Raids you can use 3 pips a day. In a normal difficulty, which is what this guide will focus on, because most likely you are going to spend most of your time over there as a new player. In normal difficulty you can repeatedly use the same theme, so you can use all your 3 pips that you get every 12 hours, 2 pips every 12 hours and 6 pips in total every 24 hours. So in the course of 24 hours you can use the same theme 6 times. So this means that you can use King of Lands Aquaman and the theme that we're going to put together for him 6 times. And even if he's not built at all, even if he has level 1 gears, he's still going to deal that 10% damage of the opponent's current health. And that will eventually chunk them down. And this is going to be very helpful to you and very necessary to you. Yet again, you can get him from the League Store. I also have a build guide for him, so you could go ahead and look for that. But for starters, you will most likely not have the required materials in order to properly build him up, and you will not have the reforges. So even an unbuilt King of Lands Aquaman will do amazing for you. If it's built, then even better. He's going to be a great character overall for Raids and Soul Raid in general. And the other thing is the fact that he will build damage buffs when using his abilities, and that can lead to even further damage other than the 3 special trees. But the 3 special trees should be your priority. The second character that you're going to need for this team. The second character is also a must-have character. You are going to go either with Power Girl over here or with Dr. Fate. Where are you, Dr. Fate? Over here. I recommend Dr. Fate because you are most likely going to have him from unlocking hero chests, because he is a pretty often drop from there, and both Dr. Fate and Power Girl are going to have the passive that reduces the power cost of your team. So it's pretty logical, right? The more special trees you use with King of Lands Aquaman, the more damage you're going to deal. This guy makes King of Lands Aquaman use special trees more often. Pretty simple so far, am I right? You'll kind of need to have him at 4 stars in order to reduce 2 bars of power, and if you don't have him at 4 stars, still use him, because even 1 power bar reducement is going to be enough. So either Dr. Fate or Power Girl. I recommend Dr. Fate because you are going to get him from the hero chests. Power Girl you can also get from the League Store, but your priority should be King of Lands Aquaman, and because of that you might not have both of them straight at the start. In terms of a third option, there are 2 options for this. It's either the budget version or the premium version. But even the premium version is going to be accessible for you most likely. We have over here the premium version, which is Shazam. Shazam is going to be a character available through Arena Seasons. So you can get him from the Arena Seasons unlocked hopefully at 4 stars, and his passives will grant all your Might and Arcane teammates an increase in damage. And at the same time will have a chance to trigger his special tree for free, which heals your entire team. This guy is going to be an amazing support character, and especially an amazing support character for King of Lands Aquaman, and can act as a pretty decent tank. If you don't have Shazam, then there are still options for you. A thing that everybody will have is going to be Armored Superman, and you'll simply use him as a tank because he's got smooth combos, he's got smooth transitions into taggings, so you should have absolutely no problem into using him as a support character for King of Lands Aquaman if you are lacking Shazam. And the Justice League Flash is also an option for third support if you are lacking, if you already have your King of Lands Aquaman already built with fast attack. This guy is going to be increasing the damage that your King of Lands Aquaman does, because he's going to add 1 more fast attack hit to it. Though it's a beginner guide, we are getting into too much detail. Most likely the option for you will be Armored Superman, and that's still a good option. Shazam would be a more optimal option. The most optimal option would be Justice League, the Flash, King of Lands Aquaman, and Batman Ninja Gorilla Growth, but you're most likely not going to have that. So the second banned option is going to be Power Grower Dr. Fate, with Shazam and Clean Lance Aquaman. This is a team that you, as I have said, you have access pretty early on and can get more or less without problems. It's just going to be a matter of time. So yeah, as I was saying, when you get into soul raids, you'll see that the opponents keep their load health, so the damage you deal, no matter how small or little, is going to count. So what you are going to do is you keep using on and on again the Clean Lance Aquaman team. You can go into trying to do a more advanced gameplay once you have him built and you're a little bit more confident, but early on your first and foremost priority should be dealing 3 special trees, because the first 3 special trees are going to be dealing a percentage of the enemy's health, and that's going to be a huge damage. As a beginner, a fight where you used the specialty of Clean Lance Aquaman is a successful fight. Of course, you'll need to get better at that, but for starters, that is what you're going to do. Other than that, I don't know. It's worth mentioning that if you have Apocalypse artifacts, you're going to have a much easier time, and I think there's still an offer in the store. Let me check for a moment. Yeah, if this offer is at the time of your playthrough over here, it's pretty worth getting, because the Apocalypse artifacts are going to give you a pretty big health boost and attack boost in solo raids specifically, so that's going to help you through your progress. Haven't bought it, don't have any Apocalypse artifacts on my account, and I have still made it far enough, so you don't have to do this, but this will definitely help you. Other than that, I think this was everything for this one. I don't want to go more in depth into themes, because that would be for the advanced guide, because in difficulties harder than the normal one, you'll not be able to use the same theme over and over again. You'll be able to repeat the use of a theme only once 24 hours, and that complicates things a little bit, but for a beginner, the normal difficulty should be hard enough for you to not worry about the harder difficulties for a longer time. And other teams that you could build, there's simply no other team that is going to be cheap enough to build and effective enough to be worth really building for solo raids. With all that being said, I hope you found this helpful. Thank you very much for watching. Support this video by leaving a comment, hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, maybe hit that bell button, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and excuse me, I almost forgot. So far, everything we know about the unregistered damage bug is the following. It is likely to trigger when you use the super move with Clean Lance Aquaman, or when he is the last character to die, or the last character alive when the fight ends. So try and avoid that and see if it works for you. It's not the same for everybody, and some of you might not even encounter that bug, so please keep that in mind. See ya!